About how global warming affects everyone. What's really this global warming? So make we know cook the world as food and we know Sabi.
So climate change is that weather events, like what happens in the weather and all of that, and the contribute is both human and natural. But global warming, it's mostly human activities.
Okay.
Yes, so dear humans, the activities.
I didn't see that coming. No, according to the World Health Organization, the extent which the earth is heated is nothing to be compared to what we have. Like it has increased than what we had in the past 200 years.
Well, I think I have a friend that they don't believe in climate change.
Is the person for real?
Yeah. If you go to places like the north, for example, Sokoto is like the hottest
yes of the whole
in
Nigeria.
Yes, Sokoto is the hottest. Then Taraba, we have the coldest place in Taraba. Now very soon here in Uyo, everybody will shout Uyo hot Uyo de hot no, I think it's just the December thing where everybody will be like, oh my de hot
we dey look for power supply big time.
Do you get?
Very soon, we could be displaced. We may not have homes to stay or live, and we may not find food to eat. And as such, the level and rate of people dying out of drastic health conditions may increase and rise due to our abrupt activities as humans in warming the earth. Welcome once again to Uproot the Issue podcast, a self-growth, family life, and societal development podcast that is so passionate and interested in issues affecting people in daily life. And in today's conversation, we will be looking on a very interesting issue which you may not have known, which is how global warming affects everyone. I'm always glad to be your host, Ekemini Ekwere. I'm not doing this alone. I have a very amazing environmental scientist joining me in the studio today. She is a climate change advocate and a graduate of town planning with me. I would love you to hear from her as well.
Okay, my name, as you said, Edidiong Elijah. I graduated from the Department of Town Planning, University of Uyo, and I advocate with the Ali Network Africa Global Shapers Community. It's a world economic forum where volunteers and leaders come together in order to shape communities. So my focus area is environmental sustainability, climate advocacy, and food security. So it's more like I want the world to be a better place.
Thank you very much for joining us. Okay, so about how global warming affects everyone. What's really this global warming? So make we know cook the world as food and we know Sabi.
Okay, so global warming is a salient topic in the world today. So we have many issues borderline around it, and it is, let's say, a context, simpler definition is that it's a long-term heating of the surface of the earth, and this long-term heating has been noticed since the industrial period between 1800 to 90s to where we are now, 21st century.
Yes.
So we've had this impact of the constant heating of the earth, and this is due to the impact of human activities. So we have daily human activities affecting the atmosphere, affecting the earth. I mean, we are in the earth. So these activities are not just affecting, we have serious implications of these activities, and they actually are things that can be minimized, if not totally out of, like, remove or expunge from the system.
Okay,
so it's more like us having a globe, the earth, and people were doing things on the earth, and this activity is more like affecting increase. So when we say global warming, we have these activities increases the gas. I want to go a bit technical. So we have the most of the gases that are released to the atmosphere are methane gas and carbon dioxide. So these gases we release every day is more like contributing, and it's heating up, and we're having the greenhouse gases increase and not at the normal. Everything has a normal, so it's
Affecting the
abnormal, and it's more like heating up, and we're having increased temperature, extreme weather events, and all of that.
Okay.
And these things are very visible. So when once you see, okay, we have dry season, and the dry season is like not going, and we're having so much heavy rainfall, but we'll get to that part. So this is just like, let's understand, and people sometimes confuse it with climate change. So climate change is that weather events, like what happens in the weather and all of that, and the contribute is both human and natural. But global warming, it's mostly human activities.
Okay.
Yes, so we try to understand that there's a difference between global warming and climate
change. All right. So, looking at our society today, you see most of the things feasible, what we are seeing in our society, a majority of it, if not all, is as the result of human activities, just like you've noted. And so what are those activities of humans, we in the society, that cause global warming?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. So, dear humans, the activities.
I didn't see that coming.
Okay, dear you and I, the activities, the things we do, because I like to be very, very practical, right?
Okay.
I mean, life is all about reality.
Yes, please.
Deforestation.
Oh.
So we are so focused on developing, and it's okay to develop. It's okay to embrace industrialization. I mean, it has brought us to an age where we can see really realistic things, and we can embrace technology and all of that. But when you're building this technology, we cut so many trees, and you're not planting them. And most times you even cut fruit tree, and you're going to the market and you're saying fruit is expensive, but you cut that one in your backyard.
That should even give you fruit.
The one in your backyard, you don't cut them because you feel like you want your house to be fine, right?
You want
you want your house to be fine, but you forget that mango is what you're going to the market to buy.
Survival.
And that market woman is going all the way to some interior
villages,
remote places to go and get it, and the one by your side, you would have just tend it and keep it, do your building, you've cut it off. And trees mostly trap carbon dioxide, carbon, and instead of this tree that was there, this is a very example, instead of that tree to trap that carbon, it goes straight to the atmosphere, right?
Wow.
So we also have effect fossil fuel.
Okay.
So if you go to a site where we have you go to a refinery site.
Yes.
So you're going to see at this point we are going to see burning of thick black substance, that's
going
carbon
up to
monoxide going back, and those releases gases to the atmosphere. So you notice that fossil fuel is good. We need these things, but we just have to put a limit to what we are doing, or we just have to bring in a little bit of standard where we can actually trap those gases, or there are actually technology that we can use to more like separate or do the cracking process, because the process of crude oil is cracking. So do the cracking process and make it more sustainable, where we don't have the atmosphere toxic and all of that. So we actually see the impacts of human activity like deforestation, farming practices. We burn our bushes, but meanwhile those stuff we're burning should have been used for manure, right?
Yes.
So you see people burning, they just want to burn and do very fast and start planting. Meanwhile that stuff what you're burning, the smoke, the carbon, the smoke, and all those toxic stuff, it's going to the atmosphere, because we don't even have trees to trap them. We don't even have technologies to trap those things. So farming practices, fossil fuel, that industrial activity. You now notice that we've embraced industrialization, right? So we have located in various places in Nigeria, outside the country, different places. We have industrial sites. We have companies coming to our territories and all of that. So how are we putting a standard to them? So you see that most of the activities and most of the mechanical processes that these companies involve in actually releases gases to the atmosphere that is not actually supposed to be
so.
So for example, I would like to mention a city in Akwa Ibom, Nigeria. Sorry, a city in Nigeria,
Nigeria,
that's
yeah.
Port Harcourt City.
Okay.
So when you go to Port Harcourt, you notice everybody saying that the everywhere is very toxic and all of that. It's just because of the fossil fuel activity, the industrial activity going on in
Because
Port
those
Harcourt.
guys are really into oil.
So you now
processing.
see, you now see that there's a long-term effect on health.
Yes.
So I think we had cleaner air
As at that then.
as at that time
Compared to what we have
now.
now.
But then kudos to Akwa Ibom State. I think we are trying.
Yeah.
So, but we just need to avoid these practices, limit them, reduce them, minimize them. So to a very large extent, we are really doing things that are not supposed to be, or either we minimize them or we avoid these practices in order to have a better earth.
Okay. All right. So we're talking about you're drawing an idea to the things we are doing in the society that is actually conflicting with the weather or the temperature of the earth. Yes, that's what we are looking at. And so we are having the air we have currently now, as just of what you've said, it's to be compared to then is not really clean.
Do not say we are forefathers.
You know, so now, you know, according to the World Health Organization, the extent which the earth is heated is nothing to be compared to what we have. Like it has increased than what we had in the past 200 years.
Yes.
And you know, when you talk about industries, I remember the emergence of industrialization as at 1800, 1850. You see, so that is more 200 years ago. So now, with the presence of industries in our world, yes, we've embraced civilization. We don't start today, so small iPhone today, use and all that, you know.
It's actually good.
Yes, it's good.
Yeah,
but then I'm asking you, we've seen, let's look at the role of industrialization, industries with respect to the heating temperature of the earth. So is it a blessing or a curse?
Okay. So we had this AC debate when I was in my undergraduate, right? So industrialization,
a blessing or a curse.
We came out, we were sweating like industrialization. So from perspective of a town planner, it's a balance. It's just not like a balance. We just need a balance. I can't say it's a blessing. It's a curse. Yeah, because you can't actually put those words out there. We just need a balance. So a balance is just, we have standards. For example, I studied town planning, right? So for town planning is just the arrangement, organization of land uses in a particular city and town. So now, to everything that is happening in a city, there is a master plan that shows that this is how a city should be. So that master plan design shows the zoning of different land uses. So when we are talking about industrialization and siting of industrial land uses or industrial sites, before those things are put in place, there are standards, there are documents in place that is submitted to the authorities. So submitted to the authorities to prove, okay, so these are the things we need. These are the things we need.
Yes.
And these things are not just done. It's to protect the built environment. It's to protect us. It's to protect whatever is happening. So you can cite an industry and this has to be monitored. So before any factory or industry is, but they are document, they are document, a detailed work that shows that this is what I'll be doing. So so we now check, we call it environmental impact assessment. So every industry must have an environmental impact assessment that actually assess the impact, the negative and the positive of that siting of that particular facility. So once this is done, the document will be able to check, okay, so this is what these people will be releasing to the environment. Yes. So this is what they will be giving as benefit. This is what they will be releasing. So that's why most times you have, okay, this place should just be cited in a very in a very secluded place, right?
So far from
So
where
far
people are
from,
living,
yeah,
you
so
know.
far from where people are living. So once it's like that, the activity there can be controlled, right? So because this place had been an industrial estate, so the activity can be controlled. The technical aspect of it can be controlled. So we have that, okay, these gases are going out. So what do we have to curtail the effects around? I mean, humans are not living, so we could have a whole lot of tree, or in a place that, okay, we have trees to trap this thing instead of it just exposing to the atmosphere. But sometimes, in a typical country, okay, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. But sometimes you see some mistakes that will happen in Nigeria. You just see that this company is an open place. They are residential building. People are staying there. So industrialization is a blessing, but as human, I think we are forced to make it look like a curse, which is
Because yes,
not.
yes, yes.
It's just that we should not neglect the part that we are meant to control what happens,
Okay.
right? So if anything happens to the earth, is a fault. If we keep it well, it's also a blessing that this is what, as okay, I'm a Christian, God has given us earth, so we should keep it. We should tend it, we should make it work. Yeah. So
At least you just made me remember that part that we should, eat the fruit of the earth but not destroy
not
it,
destroy it. So
Okay.
that's on. It's just do what you have to do, but do it right.
Do it right. Okay, do what you have to do, but do it right. The extent which the earth is eaten has never been this alarming in the past 200 years, according to the World Health Organization. This is a very interesting conversation that you will love missing on how global warming affects everyone. So please, are you meeting this channel for the first time? Help me save the risk of missing a lot of captivating videos that will be coming your way by clicking on the subscription button to subscribe to the channel. And so this is a very interesting session on global warming, how it affects everyone, with a planner, and a climate change advocate, Miss Blessing Elijah. Okay, so Miss Blessing Elijah, you've actually said a lot concerning deforestation. Of course, if you are hearing about deforestation, it's simply a situation where we are cutting down trees, either for personal or most times it's economical advantage, where we get to sell them, There's ways we are just cutting out trees, those resources in the bush or forest that could help us, because these resources were meant to protect us. Okay. Okay, so now coming to the you've outlined a whole lot of things about environmental industrial impact assessment, trying to check, to arrange where industry should be sited, in a village, okay, or in a locality. All right, so now let's come to the consequences of this global warming. Now let's look at the feasible consequence. What are those consequences of global warming?
Okay, so thank you for that. The consequences are just everywhere. But I think I have a friend that they don't believe in climate change.
Is the person for real?
Yeah, it's just like that's why I said climate change is, sometimes people put the word wrongly out there. Climate change is more like a combination of a natural
and human activities,
activity
yes.
combined effect, right? So there's just a natural way the weather could change, extreme events and all of that. But we also have global warming.
Okay.
This one now, us pata they
run am.
Now we they run now. So
they check out very well.
so now we they run now, but sometimes it's just ignorance, right? So the consequences that you would see that we've had extreme weather events. If you go to places like the north, for example, Sokoto is like the hottest
yes, of
place
the whole
in
Nigeria,
in
yes.
Nigeria, yes. Sokoto is the hottest. Then Taraba, we have the coldest place in Taraba. Now, if we go to that place and ask and check the weather statistics or the temperature statistics of that place over the last 10 years, over the last 20 years, you're going to see that there have been an increasing difference from what it was before
to what we
it
have
is
now.
Now, very soon, here in Uyo, everybody will shout, Uyo hot to, Uyo de hot to, heat,
Abego.
heat. No. I think it's just the December thing where everybody will be like, oh my, they hot to.
We did look for power supply big time.
Do you get? So,
because I can't imagine staying. Oh God.
So now, we also have extreme in rainfall, serious rainfall, and we're having flooding everywhere. You
just like what happened some months ago in Medugri. Yes, yeah.
Borno State is the flood disaster was more like an infrastructure issue.
Okay,
it's something that would have been controlled, but I don't want us to go there. But then it was very bad that those persons, they had to go through all of that. And if you've not had an experience of a natural disaster, you won't understand.
You won't really relate.
It's just like you
what is going
saying
on there.
fire. I mean, you're going to lose your livelihood. You're going to lose your life. You're going to lose your space. You're going to lose. I mean, we have disaster. These disasters are actually displacing people's livelihood, people's spaces, communities, family, loss of lives. So by the time you notice that serious rainfall and our drainage system are no longer carrying the amount of water, sometimes you see people's houses flooded, and you see people doing photo on the channel that like, please, I need help. Look at one day I saw one lady. She said she's into trip to business. She was like, my house is flooded. This was Lagos. So now, even though we had these places to be flood prone areas, but there are ways it could be controlled. But then with the increasing rainfall, you cannot. So you could tell me personally that the amount of rain that used to fall then is definitely increasing. So you have a whole lot of things happening all over the world. You see that icebergs are breaking. So we now notice that there's so much impact of what is happening. So by the time these effects are happening and we have this increased rainfall, our crop is no longer yielding because there's a certain level of rainfall that a plant, if the crop scientist should tell you a particular crop or whatever needs. So by the time it's flooded and it's taking more water, you now discover that this thing is not yielding. For example, we used to go to the farm. I farm. I go to farm. I love farming. So by the time we uproot cassava those days with my grandma, it would be very big. Anem Ndiaga for those people that know. But now, if you've
actually done something.
So for example, by now you now plant anem and Ndiaga anudia. It's not giving you this thing that you need, right? Because maybe we are doing a whole lot of stuff that is contributing to this effect. Or rain is falling too much and it's even washing away the soil nutrients,
everything that should go there.
So these things are just like extreme weather events. Extreme weather events. These things are happening. They are just everywhere. So by the time you're doing this thing and no food insecurity everywhere, people are hungry. Gary is now how much a cup?
Now, you see, I got it 1,006 cups, and I was like, God, is this live?
Okay, so now you notice that okay, I had my mentor. He stayed in Ogun State. Called me and said his rice farm flooded.
Oh God!
So if you know how much it takes to build a rice farm, it's like a whole lot of capital to have a rice farm. So you notice that these consequences is upon us, and it's also upon us to find a way out together. And there's a way out, simple.
So just before we come to that, when we talk about song, we are shouting things are really terribly hard. It's not really about the government per se, but what we humans are actually doing. Because when we are talking about
even livestock, now if you won't go buy meat. See me, I won't go buy 2K meat, goat meat.
God, don't try
I won't chop life. I just want to do small.
Those Bobby girl.
I won't even lie. I waka 1,000. The 1,000 naira you weep. It's like there's no 1,000 naira goat meat again.
I am not sure. It's not possible.
5,000. I say. And they are not even blinking. If you don't want, pass.
That's how they will call you. Come back.
Those days, at least we used to, when we had a protected climate, and we are not bringing in all these things. You eat your antelope if there is no, all your rats. Why are you seeing all those Adwa and
all
all
those,
those things, right?
you
You're
don't have
not.
even
So
the squirrel self, the Edward, the beefers, they're even running away
now
from.
there's another thing I want to say.
Okay.
Now, rise in ocean water level.
Okay.
Ocean water level, sea level,
Yes.
rise in sea level. The rise in level are due to constant rainfall. We no longer have that echo, like that, the inhabitat aquatic life again in their numbers. And we are eating and eating it and eating it and dumping. For example, I want to lower my voice and mention oil drilling oil in most of these are coastal area, right? So the oil spillage and all of that is killing the aquatic life.
Oh.
So you notice that these things were like a balance. The way God created the earth, I am a Christian, so I will say God. I don't know which other religion you are from.
Okay.
So I'm like, there was this balance between the earth, the water, the sky. So if whatever we are doing, the sky is more like at the receiving end. So you notice that people burning of fossil fuel, burning of this thing, because most of the activity of oil happens in the coastal area. So you notice that aquatic life, we are losing them. Sometimes you go, can you buy fish now again?
No, don't remind me, please.
Fish is for the rich. So if you really want your fish now to go on big occasion, you now see the
yes.
dried ones.
Oh,
right?
oh, you've given me an idea. So now that every Saturday I will miss events in New York.
Events in New York are now strictly on Ivy, right?
Being on
So
an
you
invitational,
yeah. So it's more like these things are the consequences we are facing. So by the time we are talking about food insecurity, all of that, it's just start from what we are doing. Because it's coming back. It's just like you sending something and the thing is now giving it to you back. So if you want us to sustain, it's just sustainability. Sustainability is more like a balance.
Okay.
You strike a balance between your social activity, economic
Activities as well,
social economic. It's just like a balanced social economic environment. You bring it together, that middle gives you sustain. So sustainability is just when you bring in some of these things together and you try to say, okay, I am burning this bush. No, don't burn that bush. Don't do it. Instead, gather whatever it is, let it decompose, and you can continue farming. Let's go through the farming practices as of what used to happen then. Even when we want to do it helps. Mechanized farming helps, right? It gives us a whole large quantity. There are ways we could go about it. We should not just jump the process so that we can still keep what we have. And we are just disturbing this. Everything is just disturbed because we want to make it big, but the consequences is just upon us, and there is definitely a way out to make the earth a better place.
Okay, so before we move to the way forward, let's look at. We also discovered that the greatest emitters now in the world,
Yeah.
we have Russia, we have US, we have China, we have Indonesia, we have Brazil, and we have a whole lot of them in India. So now and these countries are developed countries compared to the third world countries that we have here. And so the third world countries, we are just struggling, with the suffer this stuff past. So compared to the third world countries and the developed countries, what are we doing? Like, let's look at the outside, the shores of Nigeria. I know Nigeria is part of the third world countries, but between this, because this is there's a gap here now. So what are the developed countries doing to help this situation, and what are the third world countries doing as well? Are we even doing anything?
Okay, so what you said is actually, what are they doing? Okay, so they are actually working on it. In fact, they are
working.
No, they are doing. If you travel out, if you go to a place like Netherlands, Europe, UK, you notice that they have embraced a whole lot of technology, or they have brought out alternative to fossil fuel. But since they said we are getting to that, I think that's just what we should be talking about. They have brought out renewable energy sources, ways they can avoid using fossil fuel, integrated transportation system, a whole lot of framework on ground, research. good research that would actually help us in proposing solutions that could actually curtail our carbon footprint worldwide. We in the developing country, we don't have our carbon footprint is not compared to what we have, but we are just scattered with our effects and impacts, right? So it's just us here to put it together since we have not gotten there yet. For example, we have, you could count the number of tricycle and motorcycle, but in developed country, they have trains. Integrated transport system is when you bring all the modes and means of transportation together. So when you bring the means of transportation together, you have the train, the cars, the cycling. I mean, they still cycle. I have my friend that stays in Netherlands, so this in Netherlands, uses cycling to school. So if you see where they are parking their
Like bicycle
bicycle
to school.
to school, if you
Okay,
see where
no
they are
problem.
parking, so he will just join the bus at some point and join the cycle. So now they have reduced the number. I think I forgot to mention transportation. All these cars we're having are emitting serious carbon monoxide to the atmosphere. So carbon is actually one of the gases in the that contribute a lot to
the
global warming. So we have everybody wants one. You said, I know you won't get car. You want to buy a car.
So now, okay, see what you've done now. See what you've done now. Now where I want make them, get car. You want to introduce bicycle now? No problem. It's all right.
So the integrated transport system they've introduced kind of, instead of everybody having a car, we have everybody using a bus to school. If you go to US, they take their kids to bus, not like if you go to most of the schools here, you see all the parents are with their car, parking. Yeah. So now the smoke out of the car is also contributing to
the global warming.
So now integrated transport system, renewable energy sources. So instead of you using gas and all of that, they use renewable energy sources where you have your solar energy, you have solar energy and all of that replace fossil fuel. So they try to replace fossil fuel, they try to replace electricity, they try to replace all this having of cars with integrated transport. I mean, people should go back to cycling. I'm not saying I know they are going to roast me.
No, I'm not roasting you because it's actually the reality here. We need to help
now,
the situation.
Notice that if 5,000 persons have a car and we have a bus that could carry that 5,000 persons from this location to that location, it has saved the amount of carbon that is carbon monoxide that is released to the atmosphere, right? So it's more like this is what they've done. They've tried to bring up technologies that will reduce the effect of them just releasing this thing to the atmosphere. They actually they are working on it. I mean, they are there. So what we are doing in Nigeria as advocates is just, we don't want to be there, and we should just involve in the process of what we're doing. Yes. We should just carry it along, not like we should just embrace cars should be littered everywhere, fossil fuel we should be burning. So I think I so much appreciate it. A whole lot of persons have solar in their houses. Whatever they're using to cook is sustainable, and I know we cannot totally depend on renewable energy sources. It has a whole lot
the cost
to convert the direct current to the current you need in your house. Yeah, so it's a whole lot of doing. It's expensive, but then we'll get there. But these things are also cheaper, right? If we embrace it fully. So the developed countries are there, they're working on it, and if we could just join them in some way. I know we're trying to escape poverty and we're trying to even get to where they are, but I think we can involve the process of sustainability in the process of getting to where they are. Yeah.
Okay, so lastly, and just to wrap up the whole conversation, what is your recommendation out there in just simply, let's get to know what should we do as humans in the environment to help the situation briefly.
Okay, so first thing, I love planting trees. I don't plant them because I don't have what to do. But I share this story. So I noticed that growing up, you go see mango for road. You go fall. We go gather. We'll play the mango. We'll wait for it to fall. It's not even rain is falling and breeze is blowing. We'll just be gathering. Once the thing do, bam, everybody will now run and go and carry you, right? But then We don't have these things
Again, another
so
part.
we are not just not having them. If it was there to protect us, it was there to shade us, it was there to feed
To
us.
feed us as well, most
Yeah, so God
importantly.
knew when He created the forest. God in the first day, God created this the waters and those. So we should plant more trees. Afforestation, reforestation, and
Reforestation, yes.
afforestation. So instead of just the cutting down, plant a new one. Protect the ecosystem.
And not just trees, so the one that will bring fruit. Yes.
Renewable energy sources. Renewable energy sources should be you embracing more of, not just depending on fossil fuel. But I know this is more like a systemic thing where the government will be the one to introduce to us or bring down to us these things that we can use. So the renewable energy sources, they embrace solar energy. So there's a time I pitched my innovative idea, and it was on how we can actually use the leftover food. You know that the leftovers from our food, our fruit, those things, the leftover, those
Yes.
sludge from our kitchen,
Yes.
can actually be used as a source of cooking gas, right? Instead of releasing methane gas to the atmosphere. I don't want us to do that. The methane gas we can extract from that stove can actually be used as a source of cooking gas. From those leftover, that your pawpaw, that your this thing, if you put it in a particular place, there's a gas that is coming out of it, it's methane gas. When you trap it, it can be used for cooking. But it's something that we have it going on, and some people are not aware of it. So instead of you pouring, it comes in, because I also advocate waste management, everything that will protect the environment I'm in. So renewable energy sources, solar energy, there are different of them that could actually, instead of just having, so good farming practices, you should embrace efficient energy and farming practices. So by the time we have employ farming practices that assist us protect the climate, is actually a very useful thing to do, instead of bush burning, fertilizer, all those adding up all those, chemicalizing our farming and all of that. We could actually go through a natural process of increasing the soil nutrients, and we know that we plant. If you notice now, if before we do person plant corn, apart from thief waiting for the corn to be ready to get it, you will see it's getting, I don't know if you notice that stuff, it gets bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we actually are having this effect from pests and all of that. These are just, it's a cycling effect. So if we embrace sustainable farming practices, we are going to be able to move forward. Integrated transportation help us avoid everybody having cars.
Okay.
Bicycle is still
Okay.
And it's, you even live long if you're cycling every day. So we should have all these things going on, have integrated, and zoning of our industrial uses, right? This is us embracing planning of our towns and city, so that we don't just mix our land uses, and you notice that, okay, instead of controlling what is happening in this particular area because these industries are sited, we don't. So if we do the zoning, put the industries together, do this, plant more trees, even though we are developing, we also go into conservation of our forests, lands and forests. A lot of conservation should be done. So when I say conserve our ecosystem, conserve our forests, is us going to go back to our forest and see what is happening there.
Okay.
People should actually advocate for all of things, and then we have a way forward, and we'll definitely move forward to overcoming or increasing the effects of global warming.
Thank you very much. What are you doing in your own locality to help this situation? The extent which the earth is heated is nothing to be compared to what we have in the past 200 years. This was a very wonderful conversation on how global warming affects everyone. If you have power supply, you have light, please, if you are not using it, turn it off. In one way or the other, you are also helping to cope the situation. Thank you very much. Always stick and clinch to this channel. We love you. Until next episode, remain blessed. I'm Ekemini Ekwere.